Okay, nutrition during stress, something I think really this time of the year people tend to struggle with. Okay, and a lot of people just do not realize what they're actually doing to their body. Okay, whether it be types of stress, whether it be exercise, stress could be a thought that pops into our head, an overthinking state. It could be running out in front of a car, we could be in danger, we could be getting attacked, anything. It all goes back to our fight or flight state that was there built into us to protect us. Okay, but I'm going to link it to the present moment. So a lot of the time it's in people's heads when we're overthinking. It might be fear of the future, it might be money worry, it might be trauma that you went through and you're afraid of it happening again. The wife, the husband might be after doing something, might be after doing the dog in there, they after cheating or whatever it is. There's countless amounts of examples I could give. Okay, so what actually happens? Okay, danger, right? That danger could be that thought, that danger could be running out in front of the car and so on, right? That danger is the information is after being taken in by your eyes or ears or whatever we're after processing it into, and it goes to our hypothalamus. Okay, that part of the brain that sends all the signals out to the likes of our adrenal glands. It controls the likes of our blood pressure and so on. And then when it goes to the adrenals, it will send out a hormone called epinephrine, okay, also known as adrenaline. And we all know what adrenaline is, what adrenaline feels like. If we played sport, you might be playing in front of a big crowd. If you have possibly got in trouble, or if you've ever like we've all had adrenaline at some point of our life. Okay, we all know what it feels like, and then that raises our blood pressure, our heart rate, and so on. And then when all of that happens, okay, all of that is a good thing. Okay, it's there to protect us, but the nutrition about all of this, okay, it takes glucose to move us. Okay, you have to remember it's fight or flight. We either run or we fight. Okay, and when you do all of these things, it takes nutrition to move us. Okay, so glucose is needed. All of a sudden, we're after getting that fright. We get that belt of adrenaline. We go and we hit someone. Blood pressure is there, or we might be able to move really quick. We get that belt of glucose, and then all of a sudden, our body realizes, Jesus, we're safe. I need this cortisol to calm me down again. Okay, but the problem is when we get back to this rest and digest state, okay, the current population in the world are a population of overthinkers, and we live in anxiety and fear, and all of these emotions on the downward spiral, like I've spoken about in previous videos, are videos that explain all this emotional vibration chart. So if we have any thought that links back to any part of this vibration chart, whether it be heartbreak, disappointment, or even any bit of bitter guilt, anger, and so on, we always bring that back to the thought. Okay, it takes a thought for any of these emotions to come true. Okay, we decide whether we let that thought go through, and then all of a sudden we're back into this danger area, and the loop goes on. So the problem with it is when we are training, the fight or flight state is brilliant. Okay, it's brilliant. It gets us up and running, it gets us training, it gets us moving really quick, it gets that aggression out of us. Okay, sometimes we need that aggression and that anger challenged to get us out of that downward spiral, okay, and back up into that upward spiral, back to joy and love and contentment and all these things. And we want to be confident in our life. But the problem is when we're overthinking, we get stuck in these states and we get stuck in this spiral, okay, in this loop of every time there's a thought, Jesus, I don't know what I'm going to do. Will I quit the job? Will I stay in it? It's just, geez, what my friends think about me and all this thing. And I'm constantly in this loop, and there's this toxic hormone going around us all the time. And I'm telling you now, lads, cortisol is the biggest killer. Above all the things in the world, cortisol is the biggest killer out of all autoimmune diseases and more. So what can we do about it? Okay, like you might say, Jesus, that's not really me. Are you an overthinker? Do you have a fear of the future? Do you have a money worry? Do you have any emotion on this downward spiral? Are you living a lot of the parts of your day feeling those emotions, okay? Do you even realize you are, okay? Maybe it's a physical issue. Do you have knee or hip pain? Do you have a bladder or a gallbladder issue? The amount of people in this country that have got their gallbladder removed is ridiculous. And when we link it back to the gallbladder meridian, a lot of the time these are the overthinkers in the world, okay? They might have a very public job. They might also have a job where they might be helping a lot of people. And when they're helping a lot of people, they tend to take on people's shit. And when you take on people's shit and you don't deal with it, and you're not good at switching off, then we end up with a digestion issue maybe. And we might struggle with our food. And then we can go into more detail. Maybe there's a link to gluten, maybe there's a link to dairy, there might be a link to all these different foods. There might be an element, maybe we have mercury or we have certain types of metals from the foods that we're eating. And it is all affecting us, okay? And it's affecting our mood, which affects our thoughts, okay? And it affects our sleep and so on. So when we go back to our carb timing, okay? Our carb timing, we want to time it all around our training, okay? So your average person who intakes a lot of sugar and intakes a lot of negative thoughts, okay? And you remember glucose is sugar, okay? This is your carbs, okay? It takes carbs out of your system to move, okay? Now, glucose and glycogen and all these things are spiking our insulin levels up and down all the time. So we might have this sugary diet where we're going constantly up and down and we get these sugar spikes that spikes our insulin, and then we get these big massive drops, and then we go searching for it. We're searching for the baseline all the time with our cups of coffee and more on, okay? Might be the cans of Red Bull. We've all done it. The cans of Monster. Okay, they do taste nice. At the end of the day, what is it actually doing to our body? Okay. Now, the next thing, if we start timing it around when we train, this is when we almost find our baseline. Okay. So if our rough baseline is here around the middle in this one here, okay, if it's in around the middle, and we train around 12 p.m. Okay. All along from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. if we've got up at 9 a.m. we do not need to intake any carbs, okay? When you intake your carbs too early, okay, we're going to get that spike, the same as your sugar spike up here, okay? So we're going to mainly be protein and fats, okay? Your healthy fats and so on, okay? Then we're going to train, okay? And then obviously we'll get this sugar drop, okay? Takes a lot of movement, we're going to get this sugar drop, okay? Then after our session, straight away, we're going to get our protein in and we're going to get 80% carbs, okay? After that 80% carbs, that intake brings us back up or slightly above our baseline, okay? And across the day then, we fill it out with protein and fats, or we might even have a balanced meal, okay? So again, you might get questions, I train twice a day, I train in the morning, or I train in the evening. It's simple. If you have an example of I'm allowed 350 grams of, or we'll say 300 grams of carbs across the day, I would split my morning session, I would have 150. So I would have 150 grams of carbs after my morning session, and then I would have 150 grams after my evening session. Okay, simple. If you are only having an evening session, you would cut out the carbs here. And if you insist in having carbs, you would have brown carbs, okay, because they're slower releasing. But again, people ask about fruit and veg and things like that. If you familiarize yourself with the glycemic index, it will really help you to figure out which fruits are higher in sugar and which ones will spike your insulin a little bit faster, okay? Some fruits will spike your insulin way faster than others, and that's something that if you familiarize yourself with, it will really help that, okay? If the overthinking is a massive worry for you and you're struggling to deal with it, can you try any of the above? For some people, grounding, meditation, journaling can be really, really beneficial. But again, we don't want to rely on the one thing all the time, okay? We want to be able to live in the madness, because life isn't straightforward. Life isn't just routine, because if we have to always rely on our routine, we will really struggle when shit hits the fan, okay? Same with exercise. A lot of people who may have struggled with addiction in the past. Okay, we have a lot of people who vape in the world. No one's perfect, but they might give up smoking, they might give up vaping, or they might give up whatever drug they may have been taking, and they switch their focus to exercise, which is great, okay? But it's great until they cannot deal with the voice in their head and they have to go for a run every single day, or they have to go to the gym every single day, okay? And they cannot deal with the balance in the unbalance, if that makes sense, okay? You need to be able to go and train, enjoy it, train hard, and then switch off. If you cannot switch off, then we have a problem, okay? It might come back to our breath work, okay? You shouldn't be having to do breath work every day either, but sometimes a really, really powerful breath work session can really open your mind. Speaking to people, and it's important to speak to the right people, okay? You might have to do a little bit of energy work, whether it be Reiki, you might have to do a little bit of SRT, you might have to go to kinesiology, but all of these things are great, okay? Everything is great, but it's about how we link it all together, okay? Do not want to be in this downward spiral, and I say it over and over again until we are all really, really familiar with it, okay? Do you want to live your life in deep stress, or do you want to live it in an upward spiral where we do not have any overthinking, any fear of the future, or any of these worries? Okay, guys? So I hope that opens your mind.